Spacey Simsy, and we are back with more Hakuoki Blossoms in Chapter 5 of Hijikata's route. Because, he gets an extra chapter because he's special. He is special, so, I mean, that's just what it is. But, yeah. So, we just started Chapter 5 at the end of the last part. So, I don't know if we'll get through the rest of it in this part and get our good ending. I'm not really sure. Otherwise, it'll just, I don't know. Oh, we'll see what happens. So, here we go. Outside, the wind was frigid. Without thick clothing, it cut straight through to the bone. We looked out over Izo, blanketed in snow. Spring won't be here till fucking August, and then it'll start snowing, so we're fine. No, I'm just kidding. See those mountains? Yeah? Some miles distant, a row of snow-covered peaks thrust their way up to the slate-gray sky like jagged teeth. I'll attack Hakodate through those mountains. Well, why not from the ocean? They'd have to come by ship. There was no other way to Izo. That meant they'd have to land somewhere to unload troops, so I assumed they'd try and take the port first. No, they're smarter than that. We've got the advantage if they just try to take the port. If the Imperial Army comes to Izo, they'll probably land in Otobe. Maybe Isashi. Isashi. Not E. E would be I. Anyway. Otobe, a famous beach destination on Hokkaido's Takushimi Peninsula, close to Hakodate. Ooh, beach destination. Isashi, a port town facing the Sea of Japan in western Izo. Okay. Once their men are over the mountains, they'll have their navy open fire on Hakodate. Attack us on two fronts. We were at a disadvantage then. Isn't there anything we can do? Not if they attack from the ocean. If it turns into a naval battle, we're screwed. A battle here at Goryokaku will be my last. This is the last place I'll ever draw my sword as a samurai. Hijikata, did that mean he believed he would die? I was desperate to talk about something else. Even if he doesn't, which he's not going to because it's the good path, and that would be dickish game. It's like the way of the samurai is basically dead. That's basically what this war is doing, is slowly stamping them out. I mean, we know that. They've brought this up before, but you know what I mean? So he's kind of right. It's like, but that's sad. It's like, wow. Anyway, it could have been anything else, really. So I said the first thing that came to my head. I like lamp. So, if they don't come, then what will you do? There was no doubt that they would come, but I couldn't help but dream that maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't. If they don't come for us, this whole thing ends. We won't need something like the Shinsengumi anymore. A new era where samurai weren't needed. Where men were no longer compelled to draw swords against one another. Could such a future ever come to pass? Yeah. We just now draw guns or, fisticuffs. I have to sneeze. Guns. I felt my heart swell with the desperate hope that it might. No sooner had we stepped back into the inviting warmth of Hijikata's office than his expression suddenly shifted. Here we go. Blood time. His body changed as I watched, his fury nature forcing itself to the fore. Hijikata! Don't worry. I've been doing pretty good since I came to Izo. Looks like my body's getting worse. Oh, but it'll hold up till spring at least. Did he mean that he was ready to throw away his life so long as he lived to fight in one last battle? Please, don't say that. Didn't I tell you why I'm here? I unbuttoned my collar, exposing the pale flesh on my neck, and stepped towards him. Oh, this one will be different because we'll be in our Western uniform. Ooh. Please, don't say you just want to live until spring. I need you to live longer than that. Much longer. Tears fought to get out, but I swallowed and pushed them back. I'm not going to let you go. You're a scary girl, you know that? Yeah, just wait till you fucking piss me off. I'll bring you back from the dead, kill you my goddamn self. You thought Aokita was threatening when he said he'd kill you? I'll fucking kill you for real. He smiled, although the pain twisted it into a heart-wrenching grimace. His hands clasped my shoulders, and I felt his lips brush my neck. The closest we've come to kissing. Haven't tasted any blood in a while. I blinked. You haven't had any since you left me back in Sendai? He fell silent, and I guessed I was probably right. Like, you haven't had any since you shouldn't have had any. Well, who else's neck is he gonna feed on? Girl, the fuck. Well, that's why Soma and Nomura are so fucking happy you're back. They're like, thank God we don't have to feed him our blood anymore. Anyway. Why? I almost asked why not, but it was probably for the best that I didn't. He likely wouldn't have answered. I somewhat suspected I already knew the reason. If he only cared that his body lasted until spring, then he likely hadn't been taking care of it. That stubbornness of his was a double-edged sword, to be sure, but it was part of what made him him. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. My blood must taste awfully good. I felt him stop suddenly for a moment, surprised, but his lips stayed pressed against my neck. Because, I'm a demon. In fact, it must be so good that you don't want to drink anyone else's blood. My God, it's almost like, it's not like, so this is like, she's like, it must be so good you don't want to drink anyone else's blood. It's kind of funny musings. He let out a soft snort of surprise. Well, maybe you're right. When his lips touched my neck again, they felt very, very gentle. It's not because you're a demon and it tastes good, it's because he's in love with you. I mean, come on, I'm sure vampires, when they drink blood, it just tastes better when they're like, they love that person or care, Or they're like a virgin or something. I don't know. I'm not a vampire. What the fuck do I know? We can't play the vampire game because I don't read Japanese yet. Jesus. Excuse me. Come in. Hijikata's eyes were fixed on a stack of documents, and I mustered a troubled smile back at him. This was a familiar scene for me whenever I found him in his office in Goryokaku, as it seemed his work ethic was the same as it ever was. Knowing him, he'd been going at it since this morning, and he must have been exhausted. Even if I was worried he'd find me obnoxious, I placed Hijikata's teacup beside him as he scribbled furiously onto a piece of parchment. The hell's this? Don't remember asking you for tea. I know, but I took the liberty of making you some. It's like, I brought you some cookies. I didn't ask you for cookies, but I brought you some. I love you. Hijikata scrunched his nose, and he finally looked up at me as I flashed him a bright grin. I wasn't afraid of him anymore, even if he glared. I know, right? Well, for now at least. Don't worry, I'm not tired. In fact, I'm starting to think I'm cut out for all this bureaucratic crap. Well, it's true that your duties here in your office are very important, but it's not like I can imagine a job or position that you wouldn't be cut out for. Of course you can. I hate public speaking. And even worse, I hate having to deal with emotional bullshit. Well, I'm just sorry! Wow, you were gonna die alone. Because how did this work out? Because I'm a woman, we're emotional, and you can't deal with emotional bullshit, so you can't even deal with your own fucking emotions. I suppose, for Hijikata, loathing a profession never got in the way of completing his duties. I was certain that he had a knack for public speaking, let alone balancing the emotional stress that comes with managing a large group of soldiers. So, looks like I have to thank Enomoto and Ochiri for stomaching all that shit so I don't have to. Yes, but in return, you're the one who's in charge of managing all the subordinates, right, Hijikata? You win some, you lose some. They've been calling me a demon for so long, it's kind of been throwing me off. Hell, I don't think you could pay me enough to bark at those idiots, or act like the demon I used to. His purple eyes glanced toward me with an exceptional gleam, and it was like he was a completely different person from the man I met all those years ago in Kyoto. A woman will do that to you. They just change you, sometimes for the better, and, sometimes not. It was true, Hijikata was no longer the demon vice commander, and it seems he discovered an inimitable truth. The practice of self-love was deeply fulfilling. Taken out of context, that's a little wrong. I don't want to know. We didn't need to read that, but... What's the matter? Do I have something on my face, aside from handsome? Huh? Oh! Yeah, right here on your lip, and then you kiss him. Ha-ha! It was my lips on yours. Ha-ha! What? I'm just sneak kiss him. It's fine. He wouldn't care. He might enjoy it. Anyway, I was wondering when people started calling you a demon. Was it from when you first moved to Kyoto? When you were all working to establish yourselves? Before that, because he was... Look at it! That's his happy face! For fuck's sake, when he smiles, it's like, oh my god! Because he doesn't smile, he glares. Sometimes even a smile looks painful and kind of like, I'm trying. You know what I mean? Oh, of course. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. I guess it'll come up sooner or later. Don't get too excited. It's not that interesting. Everything you say is interesting. We're not going to hear the story? No? Don't get too excited. It's not that interesting? Well, it really wasn't. It was kind of boring. I totally forgot already. Like, I forgot. I totally forgot what he just said. Wow. It was really boring. I fell asleep. March 1868. I'm pretty fucking sure the other thing said April, but whatever. News of the Imperial Army's plan to strike Goryokaku reached our scouts. The former Shogunate's navy flagship back in Izo, the Kaiomaru, was sadly sunk in a naval offensive. Oh. A piece of information that proved unnerving was the news that the Imperial Army was sending a brand new ship, rumored to be even bigger than the Kaiomaru. News of this, perhaps unsurprisingly, deeply unsettled the members of the Republic of Izo. What? I mean, they're sending the Titanic. Guys, it's going to hit an iceberg. It's going to sink. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. On the night of the news's arrival, Hichikata held a meeting into the late hours of night. I waited outside of the meeting room patiently. Oh, thank God we don't have to listen to it. I don't want to know all the fucking war planning shit. I don't need to know that. Yukamura, our meeting is over. Oh, thank you for everything you do, Shimada. Today has been a rough day on everyone. All of you must be hungry. I'm planning on bringing Hijikata something to eat. Actually, don't. I think it's better if you hold off for now. What makes you say that? I don't want to worry you, but Hijikata seems to be in quite the foul mood after tonight's meeting. I'll fix that. I believe it'd be best if you left him alone for the time being. No. With that, Shimada exhaled an enormous sigh, and he bowed before walking away with a slumped head. For Shimada to be in such a dour mood must mean that whatever they discussed in there was truly serious. Imagining the possibilities made my palms sweat. It can't be that bad. I'm used to being scolded. Oh God, he's going to yell at me. I raised my head high and stood in front of his room. Hijikata, I'm coming in. As I let myself into his room, I saw something that stopped me dead in my tracks. Ah! There's our NCG right there. Hijikata wasn't sitting in his usual spot. Instead, he was sitting on the floor with a grave expression. He's sitting on the floor. He's just in the middle of the room. That's weird. I don't recall letting you in. I'm sorry. I heard your meeting ended. If you'd like even just a nip of something to eat, I can bring you something soon. What do you say? Don't want it. Not hungry. He was curt, and I could tell he was irritable. Although whatever was discussed in their meeting was left for the meeting room, I could tell that those heavy thoughts still swirled in his mind. I asked him, did something bad happen? No, can I do anything for you? Hijikata, is there anything I can do for you? Please, let me know. It could be anything. She's like, it could be anything. He's like, just leave. And she's like, oh my God, you do not know how to fucking read the clues. I don't know how many times I've heard you say that. Because I love you, so. I seriously have nothing to ask of you. Sorry for taking things out on you. You really took nothing out on me. You just kind of got a little bit snippy, but you're unhappy and you weren't mean, so I mean. I lied. That's our NCG. Look at my face! Shit. I almost fell off my bouncy ball. I was just reeling from that. Where's my fan when I need it? When we first met, drove me mad thinking that you and I couldn't relate to anything at all. But now that you're here, I can truly say that it makes me happy to have you here with me. I mean it. Oh my God, I love you. Hijikata. You've kept your eye on me, the eyes on me this whole time. Ever since we were in Kyoto, in fact. I know, it's because you're beautiful. How could... Seriously? You've kept your eyes on me. I know, it's hard to read the text because I just want to keep staring at you. I wish I could understand Japanese. We could have the voice acting on and I'd be like, you guys good? Okay, we're just staring at you and we're not even going to know what the fuck's going on. If I think about it, You're probably the person who's seen me at my lowest, but it's ironic, isn't it? Thanks to you, I can remember. Um, remember what? God, look at his face. Jesus. The weight of my burden. The reason every one of our friends sacrificed themselves. Oh, no, don't look away! No, don't look away! No, you're still beautiful when you look away and angry, but if it's something as simple as rushing straight in, I can just handle that kind of stuff myself. But having you here with me as someone to talk me through doing something stupid makes me think twice. You're my rock. Oh my god! I melt! I told you it was a marshmallow! Oh my god! Oh, it's burning me! It's a scalding, squishy hot marshmallow. I can't even handle it. It's a super hot marshmallow. Putting my life on the line isn't something I have to think about, but it's all about knowing the timing. You've helped me to come to this conclusion. He turned his gaze toward the window, peering to what was outside with melancholy eyes. But even so, his words were kind. My heart fluttered warmly in my chest. Then, if my life's purpose is to be there for you, then nothing could make me happier. As a woman, this was really all I could ask for. I could only imagine everything he'd been through as he walked the path of the warrior. So for Hichikata to recognize me as someone who made the difference for him, I couldn't help but smile. Ah! Stop! No, don't stop. But stop looking at me like that. Oh my fucking god. I've only caused you trouble. Well, compared to the trouble you have to deal with, it's nothing. Still, it's too much of a burden to put on the shoulders of a girl like you. I won't let this bring me down. I'm an Edo woman after all. I see. Oh no! I needed it gone because I was literally gonna lose my shit because I can't stand looking at your goddamn face. It's too fucking beautiful. Holy shit. Oh my god. And it was like, okay, can you kiss me already? Because we're like almost at the end of chapter 5 here. Well, okay. We got 2 more choices left. Doesn't mean it's not gonna take 4 hours to do it, but Hichi kind of left the windowsill and he slowly walked towards me. You've changed my mind, Spacey. I could use something to eat. Preferably you're cooking. Oh yeah, you want the wife service? I got it. Huh? Surprise me. Just make sure it's good. Cook like the fate of the Shinsengumi is in your hands. All at once his face became warmly familiar to me. It was as if the realization of our connection hit me suddenly, and I couldn't help but grin madly. Okay. With the threat of war looming in the horizon, I could sense that Hichikata's mind would struggle to find itself at ease in the coming days. But even then, I took solace knowing I could give him just one moment of reprieve before whatever was to come. For now, this was all I could really offer him. I decided to give it my all as I was preparing his meal. It was the least I could do to make him happy. It was mid-March. Izo was starting to welcome their late spring. As we had long anticipated, the Imperial Army's naval fleet had finally arrived in Edo. In Edo? I think it's supposed to be Izo. Anyway. Allegedly, their ships were going to dock in Miyako Bay, and the news of their arrival spread quickly. The Republic of Izo did not have the full capabilities of countering an impressive naval fleet, so the leaders gathered quickly to plan defensive strategies. Hijikata was a key member of these discussions. I, on the other hand, was ordered to remain in Goryokaku, so all I could do was wait patiently and pray for a safe return. After what seemed like hours of waiting, Hijikata, everyone! Oh my, I'm so glad to see you all safe. I wasn't sure what got a hold of me, but as soon as I caught sight of Hijikata and his men, I was overwhelmed with emotion and began sobbing uncontrollably and hugging them all. Jeez, such a crybaby. You know, pretty soon you're gonna dry up from all the tears you're losing. Hijikata's lips curled into a wry smile, but he stood tall beside me with a warm greeting. Wait, before I became too excited, I realized someone was missing, and I scanned around to see where he could be. Oh my god, did he die already? That was... where's Nomura? Suddenly, everyone's expressions dropped. They didn't fight, though. They didn't fight in a... Like, he dies in, like, this blaze of glory as they're fighting in the fucking water. And now it's like, they went and they came and, like, this was supposed to be, like, figuring shit out, not a battle. What happened? The fuck happened? Did he fall off a cliff? You know what? That happens to me all the time. I can't be surprised. Anyway, my heart dropped like a stone into my stomach. No, don't say it. I saw Soma furiously bite into his lip. Nomura's gone. He charged headfirst into the enemy line, but then he couldn't retreat quickly enough. An altogether completely different emotion washed over me, and this time the tears were justified. How many more times did we have to hear news like this? Left to fend against the unbearable pain of loss. Maybe like 2. Just those 2 guys right there. Maybe Iba, 3. I'm just saying. How many friends do you have left, Spacey? That many times. This was the first time since arriving in Izo that we had to surrender ourselves to the news of another lost comrade, and my vision went blank for a second. Nomura has been dealing with the guilt of being unable to protect Chief Kondo for some time. If I recall, it was his wish to greet the chief with his head held proudly when he crossed over into the afterlife. So I believe at the very least, he accomplished that. His end was a heroic one. Their strategy to overtake the fleet was a failed one. One of our ships was lost in the ensuing conflict, and from what they told me, so was the life of one of the greatest captains tasked with leading us to victory. Okay, so there was a ship battle, and that's Nomura when it... But okay. You've got time. Get as far away from Hakodate as you can. You can take a Russian or British ship. I'll get everything worked out. You won't have to worry about a thing. I understood immediately what he was trying to do. Hijikata knew the Shinsengumi would almost certainly lose the battle that would soon be upon them. He wanted me to escape to safety, to a place where Hakodate would be a distant memory. He wanted me to survive, but he intended to die. You can convince me all you want, or you can try to convince me, because convincing me is actually achieving it, but I won't budge. I want to stay with you. It warmed my heart to know that he cared for me, but I couldn't leave him alone to die. I wouldn't. In the near future, if I were to receive word of his passing in a place far, far away, I would sooner die beside him here. Please, don't send me away. I want to be with you. Fucking kiss me already. My thoughts went back to the 3 months I was separated from Hijikata. I felt incomplete. It was as if I struggled to feel whole. Say these things out loud, Spacey. I couldn't eat, sleep, or even breathe normally. If I were to be torn away from him again, I don't think my heart could bear to see another day. I won't ever leave you again. He furrowed his brows in worry, staring back at me silently for a moment, and then he finally let out a sigh. I figured you'd say that. You're a real strange one. I initially read his sigh as a resignation, but it seemed that Hijikata was keen in sensing how I was feeling. I could see his mind working hard as his eyes flicked back and forth in minuscule amounts. You're worried about me, right? Of course. Well, if you're worried about me, then don't let me out of your sight, okay? It'll be your job to keep me safe. I smiled at him. I guess he didn't expect that from me, and his eyebrows rose in surprise. And you can't do that if you're dead, can you? So you survive. To protect me. He thought about that for several seconds. Don't worry too much about it. I can't let the woman I love die before I do, eh?
He just admitted he loves us! I mean, we knew it, but it's like every time the admission happens, it's like, ah!
He wasn't quite willing to commit to the rest, it seemed. But I was happy that he would admit to wanting to live. If only a little bit. Did you not catch the love you thing? I mean, we kind of knew, but it's still like... You knew, but it's still that moment like, I love you too. May 1869. Oh, God. We got a couple months of this bullshit. It goes till June. June is normally when they turn, right? June is when it ends. So we got a month. Anyway. It was May when the Imperial Army began to march toward Izo. Just as Hijikata had predicted, they landed in Otobe and moved their forces through the Matsumai and Futamata passes. Matsumai Pass
an underpass leading to Hakodate from its bordering coastline. It was fortified for use as a choking position in military application. Well, we didn't choke them soon enough, huh? Otori led the men who had been assigned to hold the Matsumai Pass. Hijikata, on the other hand, was assigned to the men in Futamata. I can't read these. Futamata. I accompanied Hijikata to the Futamata Pass, where we waited for the enemy to show themselves. Even though the snow had long since melted, the weather was still quite cold, and it grew even worse during the night. Look at that scary-ass tree. It's kind of cool. It was quite abnormal. I mean, also the giant torch is going to tell them where you are. There's also a giant torch down here, where someone lit the path on fire. Some nights, it was enough to make men stationed outside lose sensation in their hands and feet. Why are we all hanging outside? I mean, on one such night, Hijikata appeared at the makeshift barracks with a barrel of alcohol. As he entered, the men hushed themselves. Look at how joyously happy he looks.
Battle's gonna start soon. I'll be counting on you guys. We can't afford to rest, unfortunately. But I figured at least you could have a little sake.
Of course, sir. Thank you, sir. Hijikata went down the line, pouring a cup for each soldier. Keep you warm. It wasn't every day that an assistant army minister went down among his men to pass out alcohol. I mean, usually true. It was easy to see that the gesture had moved and inspired them.
I'd like to just give you guys as much as you want, but we don't know when the fighting's gonna start. And we sure as hell don't want to be drunk when they attack, right?
I don't know, it might make me better. Just saying. Like, it's, like just I'll bounce off a tree and be like, whatever, that hurt, keep going. They'll be like, Spacey, there's a limb through your fucking skull. And you're like, whatever! And you just... She battled and she killed 300 soldiers with a fucking limb stuck through her skull. She normally couldn't wield a sword. Apparently that tree branch, just apparently triggered my swordsmanship skills. Just saying. You never know. Or it could just suck and we could all die really fast. But, I mean, you never know until you try, right? Don't try it. I don't advise it. Hijikata spoke softly as if he were persuading a child. A ripple of laughter moved through the men.
So, sorry I gotta be a killjoy, but for now you only get one cup. Once this fight's over, though, you can have as much as you want.
Yeah, we'll make it through this. No, screw that. We're gonna kick ass so we can come back here and get drunk. That's something worth fighting for. Oh, that sounds like Nagakora. Nagakora! Are you back? Seeing how much everyone looked up to him, it reminded me of Kondo back in the day. Hijikata and I walked together back to his tent from the barracks. Hijikata, are you alright?
What do you mean by that?
I was at a loss for words. Something had made me nervous, but I couldn't put my finger on what. You're not drunk, are you? Are you drunk? Why? Because you're just being nice, and that's weird. That's fucking hilarious, actually.
What? That's it? Come on, kid. I only had one cup. I can hold my liquor.
The smile faded from his face, and his gaze slipped into the distance.
They're like sons to me, you know?
Except for they're probably like your age.
Not much I can do for them now. Seems like a little sake is the least I can give them.
You know what? He's like, we're on a battle. We're going to lose a bunch of these people. I've lost so many fucking people, and all my friends are dead. Yeah, he's feeling it. I understand. I empathize with you, because all my friends are dead, too. All of the men were gathered under the flag of the Shinsengumi, which stood tall in the torchlight, and you've lost even more people, so it's harder for you, but all my friends are dead. What it stood for was something that all of us, especially Hijikata, had close to our hearts. Futamata Pass was the line of defense responsible for holding out against the Imperial Army's advance. If they were to be quickly outnumbered, or if their ammunition became scarce, it would likely spell the end for all the men here. However, not a single man wavered in the faith of Hijikata, and each of them followed his commands. I'm sure they understand how you feel.
Thanks. You always say the words I want to hear.
I'm really good at that. Writers, you know? I felt my face flush. Well, I thought to myself, I need to tell him how I feel more often. By early June, the weather had begun to warm up. We've been there for a month? Unfortunately, with the warm weather came battle at the Matsumai Pass, We've been standing at that fucking pass for like a fucking month. That sucks, man. They're like, oh, could the battle happen and we could die? I'm gonna just die sitting in the woods. Otori's men were routed by the Imperial Army. Hijikata and his men were ordered to retreat from Futamata and return to Goryokaku and Hakodate. I was just blending words there. This was, as we knew, where the final battle would take place. Everything had gone just as Hijikata had predicted. Except for when he predicts his death, because that's not going to happen in this one, motherfucker. One particular night, I was with Hijikata in his room.
Hey, you plan on being up for much longer? You should hit the hay soon.
I know I should, but days like this with Hijikata were becoming more and more of an uncertainty. All I wanted was to cherish every moment with him while I still could, so I lingered for a moment longer. As I was about to finish my sentence, a visitor arrived. Oh. Hijikata, are you in there? It's me, Soma.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Hijikata looked towards the door, beckoning Soma to enter the room. I apologize for coming here so late, but there was something that just couldn't wait. Something I needed to give you, Hijikata.
What is it?
Here. Soma reached into his kimono and... He's not reaching in his kimono, he's wearing a Western uniform. Reached into his jacket and pulled from it a woodblock print. When Hijikata realized what he was looking at, his eyes grew wide, and he stared intently at it.
Did Ibuki draw that? Why are you giving this to me?
When we were back in Edo some time ago, I went to see him, and that's what I told him. I told him to show all of you where he's been, and to show you the life he's led and experienced. And so, not too long ago, he sent me this drawing. As soon as I saw it, I thought it best to give it to you. I want to see it. Hijikata's gaze was firmly fixed on the woodblock as Soma tenderly reached to give it to him. I want to see it! And then...
I'll take this. Thank you, Soma.
Soma nodded calmly, and then he bowed. Let me see it! Without another word, he turned and left the room. Because, like they showed the other one of Sarazawa, I want to see this one, because it's probably beautiful and touching, and it's going to make me cry. Hijikata gave a curt smile, exhaling as he plopped back into his chair.
What are the chances, huh?
What was that all about? What is that? I tried not to pry into what just happened in front of me, but I couldn't help but wonder what it was that elicited such a reaction from Hijikata. It's perfectly fine to ask. He's your future husband. The minute I saw it, I gulped. A vivid, intense brushstroke upon the woodblock evoked a feeling of magnificence for me. It was a fury. Oh, it's the same damn one that Soma had. That's the same one Soma had in the very beginning. You know what I mean? Why did he say I wanted him to tell me where he's been and this is what he sent me? Why? Anyway, a fury. Painted upon the woodblock was the drawing of a fury, complete with white hair and crimson eyes. But you know what I'm saying? Anyway. Within those eyes, however, was none of the murderous rage I'd come to expect in furies. A peculiar kindness was imbued in them. So he painted another one? Like, God, Ibuki, come on, just... You gotta start painting something different. I found myself strangely captivated by the image, and I motioned to Hijikata to convey my wonder. Who is this?
Well, this was the chief of the Shinsengumi. But that hasn't been since we used to call ourselves the Mibu Roshigumi.
Really? The Shinsengumi had another chief besides Kondo?
Yeah, you could say he was a real crazy son of a bitch. Bastard would get into scuffs with merchants, take their money, and go on a drunken riot at Shimabara. His name was Sarazawa. When he was still kicking around, I don't think I ever got a good night's rest. Always had to get into some bullshit.
What Hijikata had said confused me. Everything he described to me about Sarazawa was incongruent to the kind-looking image of the man etched into the woodblock.
Actually, funny to think about it now, but I remember spending every day thinking of ways to fuck with Sarazawa. Then he told me something.
You were thinking of ways to kill him. Like, well, maybe not. Ugh!
If you want any chance of pushing Kondo to the top, you need to become the demon you were born to be.
He actually did say that in the anime. Probably because, this existed, and then they did the prequel season because everyone was probably like, well, what happened in the prequel? That season's still the best. I'm sorry, I know I've said it before, but I can't stop.
and I took his word for it. Then, I took Sarazawa's life when it seemed becoming a fury was too much for him.
I don't remember him being did he become a fury? I don't really remember that. It's been a while since I watched it. Pushing Kondo to the top. Before this conversation, I believed myself to have a strong grasp on what made Hijikata who he was, but I couldn't even imagine bearing the responsibility of killing the man who was supposed to be your leader, and I realized just how dire these straits must have been. Those straits.
You might think I'm a little weird for this, but I had a feeling that night that Sarazawa knew, somehow, I was going to strip him of his life.
I'm pretty sure he did, though. Pretty sure he knew. That I kind of remember. I don't remember him being a fury, but I remember the plot. Hijikata's eyes were I mean, it's not a spoiler. He just fucking told you what happened, so. Hijikata's eyes were locked with my own for a minute of dull silence before falling back to gaze upon the woodblock.
Strangely enough, the same look he gave me as I killed him is the one drawn onto this woodblock.
What? His words baffled me. How could this be the same man? The man I saw on the woodblock looked so warm and gentle, and in no way did I interpret his expression as belonging to someone expecting to meet their demise.
You know, come to think of it, I could probably credit the bastard for giving me the kick in the ass needed to get my shit together. If I let the Shinzagumi half-ass their way to power, who knows what kind of bullcrap Sarazawa will have to say to me in the afterlife. Feel like I've made it this far, at least.
Hijikata. When it comes to men who've left a considerable impression on Hijikata, Kondo was likely one of the first men on the list to come to mind, but it seemed as though Hijikata reserved a special place for Sarazawa as well, and I could hear the admiration.
I don't know what the hell fate's trying to tell me, but Sarazawa visited me in my dream last night.
What kind of dream was it? Well, that's kind of fucking random.
Well, we weren't exactly speaking to each other. But in the dream, he seemed at peace. Not too unlike how he looks in that print. It was his eyes, though. They were telling me something. It was as if he were trying to tell me to let go. Let go of the pain. Let go of the burden.
Hijikata. Between Soma bringing the woodblock to Hijikata and this lucid dream of his, could all of it really be a coincidence? Or was it perhaps a foreboding sign of what was to come? Dun dun dun. Who knows? The end. Oh, this is where shit hits the fan. June 1869. After returning to Hakodate, Hijikata immediately left for Benten Fortress. I know it's Benten Fortress, but I can't say that. It doesn't, so I'm just, whatever. It's not really Benten. I know it's not. There's probably someone who's losing their shit every time I say that wrong, but I can't, like, my brain doesn't want to pronounce it right, so whatever. Had been built on a section of man-made land that out into the ocean. It was outfitted with artillery battery to fend off attacks by hostile navies. I was like, wait, what? Hijikata couldn't read the word navy. Hijikata's purpose there was to meet with Otri and other members of the Shinsengumi.
It's been a while, Chief Hijikata.
Yo, how are things? I thought that was Soma for a second. I was like, Soma saying yo? I don't believe Hijikata's saying yo either. Sub home slices. Anyway.
Yo, how are things going? How's it hanging?
Like, anyway. Everything's going swimmingly. Swimmingly, Soma? Well, those Imperial bastards will be done for in no time. Oh, I'm glad to see everyone's safe.
What are you getting worked up about? The war hasn't even started yet, dummy. Of course they're all safe. Ain't that right, men?
Huh, jeez, thanks. It's really nice of you to be concerned.
I'm glad you're doing well, too. How are things with you?
Great. He's allowed me to stick around as usual. I don't know if I can live up to the bar you've set, but I'm doing my best.
No, nobody can do what you do.
Well, yes, seriously. Nobody wants to do what you do. Well, that's not true. They all want to have sex with Hijikata. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm just saying they're all like, well, maybe. Come on, he's beautiful. They're a little gay for him. Everybody is. Anyway,
he's right. The only person in the world that could defeat Hijikata would be you, Miss Yukimura. Damn right.
Do what I say, bitch. Scared my bird. Huh?
Hey, guys, knock it off. That stuff's starting to get to her head, and I'm gonna be the one who has to deal with it. Oh, that stuff starts going to her head, and I'm gonna be the one who has to deal with it. That makes more sense, okay.
What do you mean by that?
My apologies, sir. It can't be helped.
After some more laughter was exchanged, Hijikata suddenly fixed his gaze upon Soma.
Soma,
Yes, sir. What is it?
thanks for stopping by with the woodblock.
There's nothing to thank me for. I'm confident Ibuki is happy you have it.
Maybe it's time for me to stop being such a hard ass all the time, huh? Hey, I'm leaving the rest to you.
Soma's expression froze. Sup, bird? What? Do you have food on your face? Wipe your face! You have food on your beak, dummy! You got like a crumb stuck to your face. You look stupid. Wipe your beak! Wipe it, Kokor. Soma's expression froze. The words didn't seem to register for Soma at first, and he blinked incredulously with a nervous chuckle. What do you mean by that? Hijikata smiled kindly, staring back at Soma with eyes that brimmed with warmth. After a second, Soma perked up and his eyes widened, finally realizing what Hijikata had said. Understood. Please leave everything to me. Hijikata nodded curtly, perhaps satisfied with the confidence in Soma's reply. Shimada...
Oh, Shimada, do me a favor. Can you call Otari? I have some words for him. At once, sir! 1 moment, please. Yo, Otari!
After only a brief pause, Shimada reappeared with Otari at his side. You got crumbs off your face? Did you wipe your face? You mess.
I'm sorry, Hijikata. It's my fault we lost Matsumai Pass. What happened? We got screwed because we split up our forces. We're outnumbered. If we want to win this, we gotta concentrate our men at Benten and Goryokaku, right? You can trust us with Benten Fortress.
It's not. I know it's not. I know it's not. I'm sorry, and it makes me mad every time I read it wrong, but I just can't. Because, like... It's like Bain, Tane. But it's like, I can't... Tane. Ten? But it's not 10, it's Tay. Tayin. Bain, Tayin. But it's like so... It sounds like I can't pronounce Ben 10. You know what I mean? So it's like, because it's just... It doesn't come out naturally, and it's like, it's so difficult, and it just... So... We're just going to fuck it up every time we do it. But I wish they'd stop making me say it. So anyway.
I will protect it with my life.
As long as the flag of the Shinsengumi flies, we'll fight to the very last man with you, Hijikata.
Don't say crap like that. Did you already forget Otari's in command of the fortress?
I'll raise the Shinsengumi standard for this battle, and then everything should be fine, right? So long as it's up, I don't think I could lose. I've lost some battles here and there, sure, but I've never given up on the spirit of the samurai. Despite the fact that I look like I'm a Western fucking coffee merchant. I'm sorry, tea trader. Whatever.
What? Now the army minister's superstitious? You need to get your act together, Otari.
That was when I realized, suddenly, that all 4 of them were smiling. They weren't just fellow soldiers anymore. They were comrades and friends, united in purpose. Oh, the only 4 friends we have left who aren't dead. Okay, well, our 3 friends and Puppet Guy. I guess he's kind of our friend. He did us a solid. So, okay, you're our friend too, Puppet Guy.
All right, gonna leave that fortress in your hands, Otari, Shimada, and Soma.
After acknowledging nods all around, he turned to leave, and this is where he would have died, but now he's leaving, so... Good luck! I bowed and turned to follow Hijikata. Just then...
Yukimura, I am entrusting you with Hijikata.
I turned to see Shimada staring back at me, and his eyes had a serious glow to them. Ever since the war had begun, I don't know how many times people said that to me. How should I respond? Oh, it says we could do either one. Let's see something. Oh, so for that ending... Okay, hold on. Bad ending, they say you can't... I would have said I'll do my best, because you can't do that. Sounds terrible, right? That's the unrequited... Oh, wait. Oh, maybe there aren't... I thought there was another bad ending. Maybe I was reading it wrong. Anyway, there's 5 chapters, so there's still 6 endings. I thought I read an extra. Anyway. Oh, great. I didn't roll it back up. Okay, so I'll just say I'll do my best, because I figure that to me sounds better. And we say... I wanted to scroll down and see what we said in the bad ending. Anyway. I'll do my best. I'm ready to lay down my life, just like any in the Shinsengumi.
No, you don't need to risk your life. I want you to protect Hijikata's heart.
What?
He's a strong man, but he hides behind that strength, and he suffers alone.
Oh, Shimada, you big teddy bear. It's adorable.
He needs someone who can look past that and be there to support him. I believe that someone is you.
To stay by Hijikata's side and support him was all that I wanted. But can I really do that? Soon we'd be plunged into a violent and bloody battle. How much could I help? How much help could I be to Hijikata in the middle of a war? He needs someone to hold him after all his friends die.
What are you talking about? And no one else except for you could do it, Miss Yukamura. What Soma says is true. He trusts you more than anyone else.
All right. I would protect Hijikata's heart. No one else could stand by him in the days to come. It was all on me now. I nodded firmly to Shimada, my mind set. It was the evening of June 10th. We were going about our normal business when Hijikata suddenly spoke.
If they're going to attack, it'll be tomorrow.
Right. The Imperial Army was nearly on our doorstep. When the sun rose the next day, Hakodate would become a battlefield. Goryokaku would be our last refuge.
Spacey, are you sure?
I knew what he was about to ask. Yes, I am. I'll stay with you. However, the battle ended. I meant to be there with him when it did. He sighed.
I need to stop letting you say it all the time.
What? His expression was solemn, but his lips were pressed tightly together, and I could feel his hesitation. I watched his eyes stare drearily back into mine. The silence dragged on and on. I began to feel rather uncomfortable. Fucking kiss me already. Before we die! At least kiss me before we die. Finally, I opened my mouth to speak. However, before I could, please, Hijikata quietly began talking.
More than anything else, I want to keep you safe. I think I'm probably in love with you.
You said as much a couple of months ago. You were like, the woman I love. I'm pretty fucking sure that means you're in love with me, but okay. My mouth hung open. The question I'd intended to ask, now long forgotten. Here's the thing, though. He said that, and we should have been shocked then, but it was like, la la la, we went on like nothing happened. Otori referred to us as his wife. He didn't bat an eye, blah, blah, blah. And now he's like, I think I'm in love with you. And it's all,
What?
Where the fuck were you 2 months ago when he basically said the same thing? Okay. He's just a fucking idiot. I'd loved Hijikata for some time by then. In the past weeks and months, I'd begun to realize how much he cared for me as well. But to hear the words at last, several months ago, for a moment, I thought my heart would stop. In love. He gently lifted my mouth shut and gave me a crooked smile. Aw. My skin felt on fire from the closeness of his body.
I thought I could just die as soon as I'd done what I had to do for the Shinsengumi.
I was still speechless. His words lingered in my ears, and I could feel just how much had been weighing down his heart. It seemed as though he was trying to assuage my anxieties, and he spoke in a soothing tone. I hope we don't have to go through the whole battle process, because the chapter's going to take forever.
I mean, it's not like I had a death wish or something. I just wouldn't have had anything to live for anymore.
At most, he'd only ever allowed me glimpses of feelings. He'd only ever allowed me glimpses of his feelings, maybe? But now he was telling me things I was sure no other human had ever heard. I felt so lucky to have him close to me. It made me happy to know that he trusted me so truly and deeply, but what he was telling me was heartbreaking.
So long as I led the Shinsengumi and made them into what they were meant to be, what did it matter if I lived or died?
This must have been a sentiment he had shared with both Chief Serizawa and Kondo. It was something to which I became privy with the other Shinsengumi men, and it was passed down. Turning her back on the sacrifice made to the Shinsengumi was unthinkable to these men. This could potentially be the end of his journey. These men lived by their principles, and if Hijikata were to live by the sword, he must die with it as well.
And now I've got a reason to live.
I felt my body sag with relief. Oh, thank God, right? I mean, come on, we knew that. I'm so glad. He'd been through so much pain, and yet he still wanted to live. That made me happier than anything else. That's good.
Because you're by my side. It gives me a reason to continue living.
Oh, me? She's like, what, me? Duh. God, idiot. Did he really mean that? Yes, Spacey, it did. Could I really be Hijikata's reason for living? You know what? It's more like, what? It's more like, what? Could I really be his reason for living? All my dreams are coming true. I understand that feeling. No, wait, no. Even after his life with the Shinsengumi were to end, can I continue giving him a reason to live? Was I worth that? Do I have what it takes within myself to fulfill the role that the Shinsengumi had held for so long? That's a difficult question. I couldn't hold it in any longer. Tears streamed down. His words touched me so deeply. Fucking kiss me already. They were words I wanted for so long. I nearly crumpled to the ground, but Hijikata embraced me, holding me tightly without saying a word. Fucking kiss, CG. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, that's what we were waiting for. That's what we were waiting for, guys. Although she's like falling to the floor, and he's like dragging her up, and she's like just hanging there limply and like crying. Like, you know, real life right there. He opened his mouth as if to say something, then closed it. There was no more need for words. There was no more need for words. I felt his warm breath moments before his lips pressed against mine. There, nestled safe in his encircling arms, I felt content. I felt happy. His hair brushed against my tear-stained cheeks, tickling me. I could feel his desire for me in a way so deep and powerful that mere words could never have done it justice. His warmth pressed against me, soothing even the deepest places in my heart. All the wounds I'd suffered at sorrow's hand began to close. His love, the only salve they needed. The only thing I needed was his touch. Oh, at last, his stubborn heart had opened. It makes you feel squishy, doesn't it? And through his lips it poured out what it had long kept hidden. His touch was as gentle as ripples on a lake, but when we kissed, I felt in him a passion that burned so hot it could put a forge to shame. Damn. I could feel our hearts, our feelings, our very selves intertwine. And though that feeling faded as our lips parted, the love that flowed between us remained in my heart. Its radiance was undimmed. I loved Hijikata as he loved me. That was an immutable truth now. Continue to stay by my side. I won't let you go even if you want to, so be prepared. Yes! I couldn't stop crying, and it wasn't from sadness. My heart overflowed with joy, and it trickled down my face as tears. I helped give Hijikata a reason to live. Or at least, that was how he felt. That was more than I could have ever asked for. Yay. The following day, we're gonna have to finish this chapter in the next part. We're not gonna get to it, but Hijikata received notice that that fortress had come under concentrated bombardment. Wait, she hasn't said bombastic in this chapter yet. Or, I mean, in this path. Guys, if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be so fucking disappointed because in every single fucking one, I swear she said that at least 6 times. I mean, okay, once. The Imperial Army had begun their attack. After hearing how dire the situation at that fortress was, Hijikata immediately decided to send reinforcements to the fortress. I'm leaving to support the men at there. Spacey, you're coming right. Spacey, you're coming right. Yes, he grinned. There's a CG they show in the beginning of him all bloodied and us kissing him. Spoiler alert, but you've seen the intro credits, and I keep seeing it all the time, so I'm not sure if that's like in the bad ending or that's like, God damn it, you're not gonna die on me! I mean, he's not gonna die on us, but I'd never learned how to ride on a horse. Knowing this, Hijikata simply set me behind him on his sexy CG? No? None? We galloped through the town, moving at what seemed to me an incredible pace, when suddenly the crack of a gunshot rang out, and something slammed into Hijikata's body that fast. Hijikata's body shook. Ah! The horse, surprised by the gunshot, reared up and threw us to the ground. Bad horsey. I mean, it's okay, horsey. Don't be sad, horsey. Ow. Now rid of its frightening burden, the horse bolted. I was fortunate enough to land in a bush, so all that happened to me was a number of small scratches. Hijikata! I crawled across the ground toward his body, my own bruised and aching, and he's dead already. Damn, that sucks! The soil all around him was stained dark red. I mean, he got shot. Oh god, it's not a fucking silver bullet, is it? In my time with the Shinsengumi, I had seen many battlefields and a great deal of blood. But this? What was I going to do? Terror gripped my heart, and I could hear blood hammering in my ears. Hijikata! I shook his body, which was drenched in blood, and I called his name over and over. He's drenched in blood from one bullet wound? Where'd they hit him? Hijikata's brow furrowed ever so slightly. His wound was serious. A normal human would have died instantly. It was his fury blood that kept him alive, if only barely. Hijikata, please say something! His eyes opened to thin slits. Ah! This is like when we found him. It's like he's like he's got a stomach. How'd they hit him when he was riding a horse? Anyway.
Spacey, are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine. He was nearly dead, undoubtedly in excruciating pain. But even then, his first thought had been my safety. I was like, his fist? What? His first thought had been my safety. It's like he got shot with. He's nearly dead. He has been through so fucking much, and this takes him out. Really? But you're like, well. I choked back a sob.
We're in trouble if they come back to finish the job. We need to get out of here and wait for this to heal.
He struggled to his feet and began to walk, blood dripping down the length of his body. Hijikata, stop! I ran over and hauled his arm around my shoulder. He leaned against it gratefully. I scanned our nearby vicinity. Luckily, we were safe. Perhaps the soldiers saw us fall from our horse, and by some divine chance assumed that we had died. It became glaringly clear, however, that each passing moment was another lucky minute spared. It was imperative for us to find a safe place to hide. Boop! I'm actually going to stop here. I know we're a little under time, but I just have a feeling we're either going to get into something that's going to take a long time and be way over. We still have one more choice. I don't know. We could have another 10 minutes with a 5-minute end chapter. We could have another 30 minutes. So I'm just going to stop here. We'll see what happens in the next part. Next part should probably be the end. If it's super short, we'll start doing the bad endings. Or we might just do the unrequited love. I hate doing that. You know I hate doing that. I want to end on a happy note. But I also don't want this part to be an hour and a half because I don't really have the time to make it an hour and a half. So, I gotta do what I need to do here. It's unfortunate. Like, if this was the only part, I recorded, it's too late, honestly, right now to push it where I could be like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. And I'm busting my ass to try to get this all recorded, processed, uploaded, and everything before Christmas. So obviously it's after. Happy New Year, by the way. It's the New Year by now. Holy shit. So for you guys, it's 2019. Bitch, I'm still in 2018, okay? I'm still in 2018 over here. Literally, I'm in 2018. So I am busting my ass, but I cannot record for the next. I have 4 days that I can record the rest of this year, and I still have a bunch of we got to finish this, and I got to do and I still have to wrap Christmas presents, and I got a lot of shit to do. So we're coming down to the wire, and I'm busting my ass, but I don't have time to make it an hour and a half part. We're gonna have to cut it because I don't have a half an hour that I can record tonight. I gotta squeeze this in when I can. So I know you guys understand, and if I hadn't gotten it done, you would understand. But we're almost there. It's just we got to make some sacrifices, and that is ending this part slightly early. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.